So I've got to tell you a little background on this car. When I designed this car originally for Bill Mitchell in the studio, the Corvette program had already been canceled by General Motors. If Bill Mitchell had not come along, we wouldn't have Corvettes today. And the fact that he was brave enough to decide that we were going to continue with the Corvette program after it had been canceled, we wouldn't have it today. So the background on this was that when Chevrolet management killed the Corvette program, the reason they killed it is that the C1s were not making any money. And that's what management looks at when they're going to design a new car. Is this thing going to make money? And the whole Corvette program, as exciting as it did, to all the true believers in the place that wanted to work on it, without it making any money, the program wasn't going to continue. This was an area of transition for General Motors. Harley Earl was retiring and Bill Mitchell was going to take over, and he wanted to make his mark with a new design era, and he could not take the program upstairs to the General Motors Chevrolet studio because General Motors management had already killed the Corvette program. So he had gone over in June of 1957, had gone over to the Turin show, and he saw a whole bunch of little streamliners that were built over there. And the interesting thing about all of these cars that had been done in Italy was all of them had a real crisp belt liner on the side and a little aerodynamic shape over the top. They were made by everybody. You know, Stangolini was making them, Oscar was making them, Alfa Romeo was making them, and all the little shops were making them. Everybody was competing in this. So for 2 years, this whole theme had been going along, and when Mitchell saw this, and the acceptance that had been going on with the Italian market, he realized that this was a theme that might work out. So he took a bunch of photographs, and he came back, and because he could not take the idea of building a new Corvette up to major studio upstairs for Chevrolet, and because management would have found out about it, he decided to do it in secret. So he brought the project downstairs where I was working at that time, basically as an intern designer. There were 3 of us in Advanced Design Studio, and presented these photographs to us and started talking about doing the new Corvette. And we were looking at each other going, what the heck? The vice president of General Motors is talking to us about designing the new Corvette? But that's what it really turned out to be. So he gave us the project, not knowing whether it was going to go or not, and we put our sketches up on the walls, and ended up that he picked out the work that I liked, and I became the lead designer on this car. So as I said, as of this month, and you can look at my book and I'll show it to you, this car was designed 67 years ago, the first lines on it, and we made that car, and when it was finally produced, this was 1957. It took about 5 years before it finally went into production in 1963. So there was a lot of time that went on in General Motors to keep it, and the design stayed the same from the original sketch. So that's why I'm so proud of the car, because it's retained that look to it. So the opportunity, working with Mike Stavisky over here at Restomod, who actually his crew built this car, to do this car and redo it. But the important thing is when you look at it, if you were a fan of these split window cars, you'll notice all the details on it. There has not been a line on the body changed on it. There are a lot of people that have made Restomods out here, and they make wider fenders on it, and they change everything around. This car sticks to the original design. What I have changed on it is all the detailing in it. So you'll see things on the car in this thing that you've never seen before, but it's still the original car. So take it off and take a look. Liking it? Yeah. What do you think here? All right. Now it's so interesting if you start looking around at the details on this car. For example, all this front end has been completely completely smoothed off. The shape is there, but we put the lights all underneath. If you look on a Corvette, the standard one, all the vents on the side are fake. This car, everything is functional. All the vents on the side are real. All the vents up the top up here are real. And then one of the most important things about the car that I really want to do is really keeping the form as much as close as possible from my original design. If you have a chance to walk around to the back end, you will see that it's increased the glass area in the back end considerably. So the design is still the original form, but have increased the transparency on the car. So it's all much, much lighter and has a whole different look on it. One of the important things that Bill Mitchell did when I originally designed the car, I didn't have to fit in the middle. I had got the design all finished up, and Bill came in and he said to the clay modelers, he says, run the line right down the back with your knife, that's per window. And we're all looking at each other, and he put it down. He says, okay, we're going to make a split window, because he liked the Bugatti 57 SC's Atlantique, and he wanted to make an homage to that car. So that's what we did. We made the split window. So split window is the thing that Bill Mitchell put into this car, and it was a major, major problem, because when Zora Duntov came over from engineering and looked at it, he was very, very upset, because he said, that's going to get people's vision in the way. But Bill Mitchell wanted the particular lines on this car. So one of the problems in doing the car in production is that the split window was so wide in the back that you couldn't really see it. So in redoing this car, one of the things I wanted to do is refine that bit of design in it and increase the glass area, put the fin in there just the way that Bill Mitchell wanted to do it. We removed all the chrome on the back windows and everything, so we're really working on the form as much as possible on it. So one of the great things about this car is that this was built what I would call a studio concept car in designing it. So in the studio, we would occasionally build one-off versions for General Motors executives or whatever on it. And that was sort of what I was thinking about in doing this car. Is if we had the president of General Motors wanted a personal car, this would be it. The thing is, this particular car from the underneath has an Art Morrison chassis underneath, with all new C7 suspension on it, an LS motor in it, all the latest running gear and everything underneath. So you'd have all the latest engineering underneath the car with the original classic looks that have been with us for 67 years. So I invite you to come in, look around a little bit. Yes. So if you can lift the hood on and take a look. It's a beautiful, beautiful engine on it. In fact, we got the fan and originally did all of the induction systems on it, operating. Craig Jackson here taking a look at it to see if you may put it in.
Absolutely.
So, all right.
I think it's a piece of history. I love the story of the car, the build, the time of you designing this car 67 years ago and it coming back to life in this form is absolutely amazing. I think it'll make a great story for the block and a piece of one-off history rolling across. Thank you, Peter.
Great, thank you so much. So we will see it featured down at Craig Jackson's Barrett Jackson show in January in Scottsdale. So that'll be the next time that we'll show the car. So it's a great, great honor for that selection on it. And to have it here this morning.